Did you do anything fun today?
I had school.
Welcome to You're in Depth, where we walk through and break down our favorite fictional universes. I am Jacob, and I'm here joined by Evan.
You motherfucker!
What? I don't. Anyway, today we are going to be covering.
What the heck is this? This
we are
is
going to
bull
be. Stop
honky.
talking. Will you stop talking?
Jacob is deliberately sabotaging my efforts.
We are covering.
He is muting me mid-conversation.
Rings of Power, episode 4 of season 2. As sorry. Okay, so for the listener, I asked Evan a question about how his day was. And then as soon as he started answering, I muted him and went on with the episode. It just started. So that's why he's yelling at me and being a meanie.
Yeah, because I'm the meanie in this situation.
Yeah. Anyway, we're covering episode 4 of season 2 of Rings of Power. It's titled, I think, Eldest.
Yeah. Yep.
So, yeah, we're going to have a summary. In the past, like probably 4 episodes, I've done one where it's pre-recorded. There's some music, some sound effects. I didn't have time to do that. So I have something I'll read, but we'll just summarize the episode that we're covering so that you can get that kind of refresher if needed. And then we'll have a short little ad break and we'll get into our notes. Before we fully start, Evan, really, how was your day?
It was fine.
I am curious. I just thought it'd be funny if I completely disregarded your answer and went on.
No, I had school today, so I had some class.
Okay.
But actually, I thought it was kind of funny. I found out my professor for that class, big Star Wars fan.
Neat. Did you drop
Yeah.
him one of these little cards? Did I ever give you any of these?
You did not. But no, yeah, he's a
Well, never mind
big
then.
Star Wars fan, Star Trek, Lord of the Rings, like big old nerd.
That's cool. Did
Yeah.
you share anything about yourself with that professor being in the same boat?
Yeah, we've actually. What was it? So last week, all of our classes were canceled because of the weather. But
right.
the week before, me and him and one of the other students in class, we were all just sitting there like nerding out about Star Wars and Lord of the Rings and whatnot for like a solid 10 minutes.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. Well, yeah, here's our summary. So in this episode, Elrond takes command of Galadriel's mission and immediately does the one thing everyone knows not to do with cursed artifacts. He ignores them entirely out of principle. Galadriel's ring is flashing impending catastrophe like a lighthouse made of bad ideas, and Elrond confidently walks the group straight towards it, because nothing has ever gone wrong after dismissing supernatural foreknowledge as dramatic flair. They reach Barrow-downs and discover their messengers are already dead, and are immediately attacked by Barrow-wights, undead chain ghosts who erase one elf on contact just to establish tone. Everyone freezes, elves panic, Elrond suddenly remembers something he once read, grave robs a corpse mid-crisis, and the ghosts dissolve like an aging kid's ability to hear the bell in Polar Express, or something. Everyone agrees, silently, to never unpack how close that was. Orcs arrive, one elf is wounded, Galadriel accidentally activates the ring's healing mode, and reality briefly hiccups, like the world buffering. It becomes clear that the ring is not symbolic, ceremonial, or tasteful. It actually works. Galadriel immediately hands it off and stays behind to slow the orcs, because the fastest way to prove you're not corrupted is to give up the thing actively bending reality in your favor. Elrond says she did it to protect the ring, not the people. This is not very nice of Elrond. It's also accurate. Galadriel fights orcs because she cannot not do that, and is promptly captured by Adar, who recognizes her the way one recognizes a long-term structural problem. Elsewhere, The stranger wanders the desert, grabs a magic branch, and is swallowed by a sentient tree because he possesses absolutely no survival instincts. Tom Bombadil appears, fixes everything effortlessly, confirms he predates consequences, and refuses to help further because he's opted out of responsibility forever and chosen spectator mode. He casually informs the stranger that he's expected to confront Sauron and another evil wizard, then sends him on his way like that's a reasonable afternoon plan. Nori and Poppy meet desert halflings and learn the Harfoots were once searching for a permanent home, failed repeatedly, and slowly transformed failure into tradition, which kind of explains everything. Skeleton riders arrive, threaten consequences, refuse to explain, and leave. The warning is vague, the future is bad, and everyone absorbs this information with appropriate dread. Arondir and Isildur search for Theo. Istrid is revealed to be marked by Adar. Isildur is shocked, disappointed, and still emotionally invested because his instincts are consistently catastrophic. They're dragged into a swamp monster. Arondir kills it from the inside like he trains for this sort of thing. Istrid earns trust and immediately undermines it, and then an Ent appears and knocks her unconscious for holding a sword near a tree. The Ents announce they are done tolerating everyone. Orcs, men, elves, all equally tiresome. Arondir apologizes to the forest like someone begging an ancient power for mercy, and it works. Theo is found. Istrid's fiancé is alive. Isildur emotionally collapses. Arondir leaves to hunt orcs because at least that has clear rules. So in summary, every warning was correct. Every decision ignored it. The ring functions too well. Tom Bombadil could fix everything and will not. The forest is the only entity behaving rationally. This episode is a chain of reactions of... I wrote this and now I'm trying to keep up with a cadence that I initially... Whatever, it doesn't matter. This episode is a chain reaction of bad instincts where the universe keeps saying, don't, and everyone politely responds, watch me. So, anyway.
Oh, gosh.
I
just have to say, before we do the ad, yes. I love these, like... these recaps, this version of them compared to what we did before. Because it's just like the way we did it before was just like these are the events that happened in the show or in the movie or whatever we're covering. But this new version is just like calling out everybody and every bad decision they ever make, and I love it.
Yeah, it's fun to pick apart. But it took too much time this week because I've been busy this week. But it just took too much time, so I didn't end up having time to record it because I finished this today, like this morning. But anyway, no, we have a ad break. I just need to find it. And there it is. We go, open, and I will place it.
My favorite in the recap was Tom Bombadil can fix everything but doesn't.
I mean, yeah, that's kind of ridiculous. But anyway, let me go on.
I will elaborate on that more after our ad.
Sounds good. All right, here we go. This episode is brought to you by Barrow-downs Tours. Come and see the rich history of one of the forgotten burial sites of Middle-earth. In this tour, you will learn... All right, jig is up. Everyone run.
Hey, our sponsor survived for once.
Yeah, for once.
They
didn't...
hopefully.
Yep. Yeah, there was no death or harming in this one. They actually got out of there and managed
Hopefully. Maybe the camera died and we just missed their horrific screams.
That's true.
But
yeah. I don't know.
We'll let you guys know.
I have yet to hear from them.
Next time?
Yeah, we'll see.
Hopefully.
You know, one of the things I've been really meaning to do, and I haven't yet, is I really want to go through all of our podcasts, and I want to document each and every ad that we've done. And I want to like interconnect them, and I want to formulate this like overarching story between them. And I really want to go in depth with this, but it's just, that's too much time to take, and I haven't done it yet. But
oh gosh,
Because I thought it'd be funny to like somehow like have this kind of like Pelimato's Grand Sandstand. You know, it's like, I don't know. That was a long or an ongoing one for a little bit where it just kept revisiting the more it made sense to the episodes. And
Right.
I want to do stuff like that, but either way, so there was our ad break. If you didn't catch on beforehand, I make up these ads. And it's fun. A little bit of a disclaimer for our notes. I use a note tablet. And this note tablet allows me to write something on it, and then it will upload it to the cloud, and I can access it on my phone. I can access it on my computer, and there's even text boxes that I can add and type and then move over to my tablet and write. It's very convenient and allows me to jot something down at home, and then when I go to edit this thing, I pull it up on my other monitor, and I've got it on my computer. First encounter of a downside to this today, I wrote out some things on it in a text box, and it shifted all of my writing upward to where they overlapped, and then it saved it. And so I can't access version history, and so all of my writing is overlapped, and I can barely make it out. There's some of it that I can see and decipher, and so I will be doing my best to contribute in that way, but Evan, I think you're going to have to primarily take the lead on this episode with your notes because I've pretty much got nothing.
That's all right.
Luckily, I did watch this, I think, yesterday.
Okay.
So it's pretty fresh in my brain, but what I actually wanted to talk about, I don't think everything's going to come to mind.
Yeah. Well,
So,
that's all right.
just
we
a
can
heads
kick
up.
things off with old Tom Bombadil.
Mm-hmm.
Because my first thing with Tom Bombadil,
Yeah.
number one, this is our first film adaptation of the character.
Now, I did not know much about him beforehand,
Yeah.
but as I was looking through and trying to find stuff to talk about after, like, because usually I jot down what I recognize, but then I do a little deeper diving. I saw a book named around, like, him. And so I'm like, okay, he is an existing character. I feel like
Yeah.
I've heard the name, but I don't know much about him. So I don't know if you could.
Truthfully, I don't know a whole lot about the character either. Because whatever that book is that you saw, I haven't read it. And so the only thing
Oh.
I have to go off of for Tom Bombadil is the Fellowship of the Ring book and this show.
Okay.
So, unlike the movie of Fellowship of the Ring, in the book, Frodo, Sam, Merry, and Pippin, shortly out of the Shire, before getting to Bree, arrive at the Barrow-downs and get attacked by Barrow-wights. And this strange figure shows up and saves them, a.k.a. Tom Bombadil. And he then takes them back to his hut where they can rest and recover. They get proper introductions to him and his wife. It's something Marigold. I can't remember what it might just be Marigold, his wife. But the interesting thing with Tom Bombadil is Frodo, like with just about every other character he runs into, offers the ring to Tom Bombadil in the book. Tom Bombadil takes the ring in his hand, looks it over, puts it on his finger, says, this thing is useless, and hands it back.
Okay.
So that's why when you said like Tom Bombadil can solve all the problems and just doesn't, that's why I was laughing, because it's like something as powerful as the One Ring, which we have seen corrupt people time and time again throughout Lord of the Rings, has no effect on this character whatsoever. And so it just cracked me up that was your comment about this character.
Well, it's dumb to me
yeah.
that he's talking about this and he's like, he's before time, essentially. He's talking about all these things, and it's just like, well, why don't you take him on, kind of thing. And he's like, nah.
I mean, pretty much, yeah. Well, because...
And he did mention, I think it was him that said, great deeds are left to those whose hands they were placed in. And it's like, you just stop shrugging off responsibility. Like, if you're able to do it, then I guess, shouldn't you do it? But I don't know.
There's theories about who Tom Bombadil actually is. And one of the, leading theories, at least last time I checked, was he is basically the manifestation of Ero Iluvatar, a.k.a. God, in human form on Middle-earth. And he's just here to watch stuff unfold, not actually intervene. But as far as I know, there's no, solid evidence to back that up. There's just, speculation and, tidbits here and there. Especially, the whole, I was here when the first tree, the first acorn, and I saw the first leaf, and, all that kind of stuff. It's just kind of some of that speculation that people use to kind of lend any sort of credence to that theory.
Yeah.
But another thing with Tom Bombadil, and I don't know if you picked this up in the episode, when the stranger is pulled into that tree after he tries to pull the branch off, and Tom Bombadil comes up and pulls him out of the tree, he says the same thing, the same words that Treebeard says in the Two Towers when Merry and Pippin in the extended edition get trapped by the tree. He says dig. Oh, what is it? I just watched it. It was dig deep, drink water, sleep, or something like that. But it's verbatim what Treebeard says in the Two Towers. Tom Bombadil says here to this tree, which I thought was kind of a cool little nod to the original films.
Yeah. Is this Treebeard as a little baby?
I'm going to assume no.
I'm just making stuff up because I think, well, you know what? I don't think anything's off the table with this show.
What did he call this one? He calls it old.
Called it sapling
ironwood
stubble or something.
Well, he calls it old ironwood or old tree ironwood or old man ironwood, something like that. Yeah, I don't remember exactly what it was off the top of my head. Because in the Fellowship of the Ring book, when Frodo and them meet Tom Bombadil, that's in the Barrow-downs where we saw Elrond and Galadriel in this episode. There's a tree there called Old Man Willow, which kind of acts as Fellowship of the Ring time period as this tree. He's got his hut near it, tends to it, that sort of thing. So I think the producers here were just trying to do a parallel to those scenes or that chapter or group of chapters in Fellowship of the Ring with this scene here, which I personally I thought it was a cool little nod.
Oh, I see.
But continuing with trees, though, I think we could probably, unless you had anything else for Tom Bombadil and the Stranger.
Brother, I don't know what I have.
Well, no, just if you had a thought or something off the top of your head, anything you wanted to comment on.
Okay.
Not specifically your notes, but yeah.
No.
Right. I figure we could jump over to Theo, Isildur, Arondir, Estrid.
Sounds good.
Okay. Because we see ancient Ents, an ancient Ent, and presumably an Ent wife in this episode, which, for those that remember back to the Two Towers, never forget, Treebeard...
You made the joke. I love it.
Treebeard makes the comment to Merry and Pippin that they lost the Ent wives. They don't know where they went. They have not been able to find them in many, many years. And so I think because this would be before the Ent wives went missing, presumably. So I'm assuming the female tree here is supposed to be an Ent wife.
Yeah.
And then the male tree, which is more tree shaped than Ent shaped, right? It doesn't really have the outline of a man. I thought it was interesting. The voice actor for that tree, for that Ent, is the same guy that plays the role of Professor Slughorn in Harry Potter, the Half-Blood Prince, and then the Deathly Hallows Part 1 and 2. Same.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that actor does.
In this, he didn't seem like the voice didn't necessarily sound familiar when I was watching this, but I liked the voice.
Yeah.
And I did have the thought, I wonder who that is. But I never looked it up. So that's cool.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool
because
to hear.
I was just rewatching the episode just to refresh myself before we started recording, and
sure,
on Prime it pops up. At least on my phone, it'll pop
the
up
cast in each
the cast
scene.
Yeah.
And...
So I didn't realize that until just rewatching it earlier today. I just thought that was kind of a cool little tidbit.
Yeah, it's neat. Something that I thought was weird, because we're in the section where Arondir is around. It was slightly preceding that when the whole thing happened with Istrid, and then them before she pulled them out of the mud.
Yeah.
Well, tried to, the worm. When Arondir jumped out of that, he so perfectly crouched right as he hit the ground, because he did that whole broke the fall damage and rolled, like in Arc Raiders. Anyway, that was a dud.
Worm, though.
Yeah, that was cool.
That worm, though, you bringing that part up actually kind of brings it into my one thing I wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
Arondir refers to that giant worm, centipede, whatever you want to call it, thing, as a nameless being or a nameless creature. Because he makes the comment of there are nameless things deep in the world, or deep in the earth. And truthfully, that kind of bothers me that they have that line in the show. Because excluding the game Return to Moria, right, where you fight the Watcher in the water, you can fight that in there as part of the main story of the game. The only reference to a nameless thing we have in Lord of the Rings, that I'm aware of at least, is the book for the Two Towers, when Gandalf is basically telling his story to Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli of his battle with the Balrog. They fall down into the water as we see in the movie, and they go up to the mountaintop and fight and everything. In the book, Gandalf says there are nameless things deep below the earth in darkness, and even Sauron himself knows them not. And I will bring no more light to their existence. And my thing is, if Sauron, this ancient entity that is probably as close to all-knowing as you could get without being God, right, doesn't know of these creatures, how does a lowly elven guard know about them?
Mm-hmm.
It's it doesn't... and because, the only reason Gandalf knows they are down there is because he went down there fighting the Balrog. That's the only reason Gandalf knows they're there. And so it's where did Arondir go? What are his stories? How does he know these things exist?
Yeah.
And so, that bothers me that they... I understand they're trying to do a little nod to the book, right? What they're doing there. I get why they're doing it. But it bothers me that they put it in there to begin with. Oh, excuse me. And then, just staying with these characters as well, Arondir, after they find Theo, so after killing the worm thing, after meeting the Ents, right, and he gets back with Theo, he gives him a big old hug, and all things are forgiven. Arondir calls Theo the Lord of Pelargir.
Mm-hmm.
This bothers me as well because we have an established line of the Lords of Pelargir in the lore, and Theo is an original character to this show. And so I don't know if...
Is there any sort of like wiggle room you think that they can integrate him into?
I don't think so. I don't know the specific line of Pelargir off the top of my head. I just can't rattle off the names, but when someone like Tolkien takes the time to create the genealogies for Aragorn going back 200 generations, that's a little bit of an exaggeration, right? But like, you can go into some of the books and see so-and-so, son of so-and-so, son of so-and-so, son of so-and-so, just on and on and on, and then finally Aragorn, son of Arathorn. And then you can go and look at like Gimli and his line, and Legolas and his line, and the line of kings for just Gondor, the line of kings for just Arnor, so on and so forth. Like Pelargir within the lore is a pretty big city in Gondor. It's pretty significant. I find it very hard to believe that there wouldn't be some sort of lineage out there. But I mean, I could do a quick Google search, but I have a feeling I know what I'll find.
All right, go for it.
Line of lords for Pelargir. I don't know if that's how you spell that. Lord of the Rings. Let's see. Founded early Second Age, kings and princes. So, the founder of Pelargir, King Taranon Falester, he's the one that establishes a residence there and actually creates the city, or rebuilds the city. So we already have the person that makes the darn thing, and so it's like, sorry, Theo, you can't be the like founding lord of this place because it's already established. And we don't know who Theo's dad is, so unless somehow his dad is Taranon Falester, good luck, buddy.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
So
I don't know. I'm not digging too deep into that, but I know there's a lot that they're not.
Yeah.
They're taking a bit of an overstep with.
And I will say this though, like I still enjoy the show. I still enjoy the media.
Yeah.
But I have to, when I watch Rings of Power, I have to watch it like I watched the Halo series, the Halo show that came out on Paramount Plus.
It's separate from established lore.
Yeah, you kind of have to watch it with the idea of take Lord of the Rings out of it. Like take the title Lord of the Rings out of it, treat it as its own show. And it's the same thing with the Halo show on Paramount Plus. It was like, take the Halo title from all the games and the books and just get that out of here. Watch the show as like a new piece of content, a new universe. Because if you're going to watch it as part of like trying to, or if you're going to watch it expecting it to stick to lore, you're going to be sorely disappointed. But with that, I do still enjoy the show. I mean, there's cool scenes, there's cool moments. There is some fairly decent character development for some of the characters.
Barrack.
Yeah, Barrack has the best character development. But yeah, did you have any thoughts on any further thoughts on these string of characters?
Let me see. No. I thought it was weirdly convenient that Arondir got spat out by this creature and still kept part of it to eat. I'll jot down the time.
Oh God,
We're resuming.
Talking about Arondir.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh God.
I don't even know if that's a blooper we can keep in or ever have as a blooper.
Yeah, I don't know.
That was pretty whatever. Go ahead.
I think so my last thing with Arondir and crew is when Arondir finds out Estrid has the mark of Adar like branded on the back of her neck. He like pulls the back of her like shirt down a little bit to show the burn where she tried to cover it up.
Yeah. She
sucks at trying to hide that because like you look at it, you can still clearly see the mark, and it's just a little like black as if ash got smeared around the wound.
Yeah, it wasn't very well hidden, but it still looked like it hurt. Now, granted, she can't see it, but also, what a poor excuse. I fell asleep too close to the fire, and I got a little burnt. Why is your hair still intact?
Why do you still have a full head of uncharred hair?
Yeah. But, obviously she's kind of...
She just took her wig off before going to bed. And
yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Anyways.
Yeah.
We don't get any dwarves in this episode. We don't really... I mean, we get a little bit of Adar, like, right there at the end. It's mainly
barely.
just like a Galadriel, Elrond kind of story stuff.
Right.
I guess the only other people we have are Nori and Poppy, separated from the stranger.
Well, real quick, with Elrond and Galadriel, I did want to point out that he had said that
I guess we didn't really talk
Eregion. Yeah, I mean, I don't have anything really to say about them except for they are about 150 leagues from Eregion, and I'm unaware of leagues, so I looked it up, and it's about 450 miles. So that's the travel distance they got to go.
Yeah,
so there was that.
And just like a lot of shows and movies, it's hard to really show distance and time without boring the viewer. And because it's like we get 4-5-ish scenes of their little company, and by the end of the show or this episode, they see Eregion, over there with an army of orcs around it. So it is nice to kind of put a distance with that, and then we can kind of come up with a rough time estimate that it would have taken for them to get there.
Yeah.
With them, though, I will say, I thought it was funny in your recap that you did, where you were saying like Elrond gets information from the ring that Galadriel has, don't go this way, and then ignores it.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's true, but at the same time, like we talked in previous episodes, like, dude's hella suspicious of these rings.
Well,
right?
Yeah.
For reasons that we've discussed before, so we don't have to get too far into that again. But it's like, if I'm in his place with the mindset that he has, it makes total sense that he just ignores Galadriel's suggestion here.
Yeah.
Right? You're getting information from this ring that I believe to be corrupted by a great evil that we are directly opposing.
Mm-hmm.
Why would I listen to you?
Right.
But
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's pretty reasonable in that sense. I mean, like, obviously from what we know and how things turn out, we kind of I think it can be easy to say he's just being stubborn. But like, he does have legitimate reason.
Yeah.
Now, I suppose seeing what we saw in that Sauron didn't make these rings.
No.
Unlike the other ones.
Yeah.
But he was still part of it in a way. And so, like,
right. Well,
you can see his
the idea
skepticism and...
Yeah. The idea of, like, melding metals together that Celebrimbor had for the 3 Elven rings came from Halbrand, Sauron. And so it's like, from that aspect, I can understand where Elrond is coming from in this moment.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when you take the time to like push out the foreknowledge that we as the viewers have, because like anybody watching the show is most likely going to have seen the Lord of the Rings movies beforehand, and so it's like with that, that these rings aren't bad. At least the elven rings aren't. They're actually here to help the elves, and they're not corrupted by Sauron. But it's like in this moment, Elrond hasn't gotten to the future yet. He doesn't know this stuff. So,
yeah.
I mean, his reactions here, I would say they're 100% like legitimate. There is definitely a stubbornness to it, but it's like a stubbornness out of wariness.
Yeah.
It's a justified stubbornness.
Mm-hmm.
I did think it was cool to see Barrow-wights adapted to film.
Oh, yeah.
I thought those scenes were really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, you get some of it from the Fellowship of the Ring book with Frodo and Sam and Merry and Pippin, but to actually see them on screen. When I first saw this episode, it was like, oh God, that's terrifying but awesome at the same time.
Yeah.
Especially when they're standing there and the chains just come flying out from the barrow entrance and just drags the elf kicking and screaming.
Yeah.
That is just terrifying.
Yeah, we can complain about the lore breaking aspects of the show, the mediocre stories on some of them. But one thing that I don't think I've ever said anything poorly about is the way they depict certain things. Mm-hmm. Except for the orcs, but this, the Balrog, which even though we got just a glimpse of it,
right,
and just the graphics on this thing, the CGI or whatever you call it, even graphics wasn't right, but crazy cool.
Yeah.
And this was such I love the spiders.
Mm-hmm.
I love
the
how
spiders
dark
are really
the show
cool.
can be.
Yeah.
Or the blood venom Sauron transformation. It's it's visually, it can be very dark and really, really cool.
Well, and I like
this was
that
one of the prime examples of it.
I like that they're doing this dark approach to it. Because when you watch Lord of the Rings and even the Hobbit movies, you get so few true dark moments. And it's at that time of those movies of The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, especially Lord of the Rings, that's arguably the darkest time for Middle-earth other than Morgoth's war in the First Age, again, that we see a little bit of at the start of the first season. By the time you get to Return of the King, Sauron's about to win. Mm-hmm. The only reason Sauron loses is because he was not expecting the ring to get thrown into Mount Doom.
Yeah.
If Frodo's not there, Sauron wins. Period. Because at that point, the elves of Mirkwood are under attack. Erebor is under attack. Gondor is under attack. Rohan is all sorts of messed up, right, from their war against Isengard. Gondor's in decline. They don't have the massive armies that they used to. Everybody is under attack and truthfully losing. Mm-hmm. The only reason Gondor wins is because Aragorn shows up with his OP, God mode army to take the day. Yeah. And so it's in those movies, at least for me, very rarely do you see a moment of this is the end. This is where we lose. This is where our final stand is. You get that a little bit in the Battle of the Black Gates. You get that a little bit with Shelob, in Shelob's Lair with Frodo. A little bit. But when it comes to this, the spiders in the previous episode, that's just dark, creepy, gory. you know, the Barrow-wights here, it's like, how the heck are these elves going to survive? You know, because it's like, you see them shoot arrows and swing their blades, and it just passes through them harmlessly. It's like, only because one elf, which I'm pretty sure it's Galadriel, just happens to, or maybe, I think it was Elrond, just happens to remember one obscure piece of lore that he read about in a book. You know, you got to use the weapons that they're buried with to kill them, that they make it out of this alive.
Yeah.
And I personally think they should have killed more of the elves. I think they should have had, like, Elrond, Galadriel, and maybe one other elf still alive at the end.
Yeah.
Just because, like, these creatures are supposed to be absolutely terrifying, nigh unkillable, unless you know the secret, you know. But yeah, it was really cool scene. It was really dark. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I'm glad they took the time to do extra detail with the Barrow-wights, because they easily could have just done like an offshoot Dementor in there. Mm-hmm. You know, they could have just had like black shadowy robes on with a hood up, so you don't see any real detail, just shadowy figure. But no, it's like you get like the skull, the bones, you know, just the creepy eeriness, all that. I thought it was cool.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So, Poppy and Nori.
Oh God, do we have to?
It can be brief. I don't know much of what to talk about with them. They come across this idiot, and Poppy is interested in him because they just met.
They just met, so she's interested. She hasn't had time to realize who he is or how dumb he is.
Yeah, what was the thing? They said something to him, the other stewards, that was calling him really stupid, but how they phrased it, I don't think I have. I can't read my notes. I think I wrote it down. What was it?
I do know.
Do you remember?
When they show up to like the stewards' little village, right?
Yeah.
What's her name? Gundabel, the leader of the stewards.
Yeah.
She's like all ticked off because Merrimack brought Nori and Poppy to the village.
Right.
And for whatever reason, Merrimack has this idea that his name to everybody else is nobody. And the head steward's like, nobody's that stupid. And so Poppy gets all like defensive. It's like, hey, you don't talk to him that way. It's like, my question to all of that is, do the other Harfoots actually just call him nobody, or is he just so stupid that when they say nobody's that stupid or nobody does this, nobody does that, he just happens to be the one person that does that or is stupid enough to do that? And so he just like mixes it up and is like, I'm curious what it is that he just takes all these insults to meaning they are talking about him.
Yeah. So we do get a little bit of an unasked for Harfoot lore drop in it. And I obviously touched on it in the summary, but I thought that was kind of a neat little connection where it's like, these are, well, they're not Harfoots, but they're, tiny, kind of. And, they basically burrow. And years ago, they sent out somebody to search for a kind of a forever burrow. And that, well, to play off of it a little more, the last name was Burrows.
Yeah.
And so when Nori is talking and says Sadok Burrows was their leader, the leader here connects the dots and is like, that's crazy, And so that was kind of cool to hear him come up again. I liked that little lore drop, but I don't love the Harfoots. So, or the stewards, but
I think my only other thing with Nori and Poppy and the Stewards is those two figures show up looking for Nori and Poppy. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And of course we know that, you know, they want them so they can use Nori and Poppy as leverage against the stranger.
Right, not Gandalf.
Yeah, against not Gandalf. And they mention in the scene where they're talking there to Gundabel, they say something along the lines of like, "Do you know why we wear these masks? Like, give us the Harfoots, or next time we're here, we'll bring the Dark Wizard and we'll show you why." Which just keeps leading my mind to like, what sort of disease or curse do these people have?
Yeah,
because I still haven't answered that up until this point. So like what is it? What are they suffering from? And I'm still of the opinion that it's leprosy. I'm sticking with that opinion. Yeah.
I'm wondering if they are like so they're either super duper withered or super duper scarred because of the Dark Wizard, and it's kind of like the sort of thing where this is what he did to us, he'll do it to you kind of thing.
Well,
I don't know.
Because I think it was the last episode where we saw the Dark Wizard and like this clan or tribe, whatever you want to call them, like there 3 or 4 dudes are there and they're like, all right, heal us, like you know, heal us and we'll go get this figure for you, the you know, not Gandalf, heal us and we'll get him for you.
I remember that now, actually.
You know, so that makes me think that it's like an ongoing disease or an ongoing curse that the Dark Wizard had bestowed upon them. Mm-hmm. But I mean, I wonder if it's as well as something just as simple as like the Dark Wizard gave them arthritis or something like that, you know, where it's just like body pains or like aches and groans or something stupid, or like something as stupid or as that or as simple as that. Yeah. But like they don't have, you know, modern science and medicine to help with that. So like, use your magic, do the thing. Poke him with a stick, do the thing. But I mean, this episode, I feel like a lot of these episodes for season 2 so far, all 4 of them have just kind of been not necessarily like filler episodes, but just setup episodes. Because like we don't have too much character development happening so far. We don't have too much like advancement of the main plot happening so far. I would say like the biggest thing is we now know the orcs are at Eregion, right? That's like that. I mean, that's like a pretty significant event that the orcs are there. Right. But other than that, I don't really think anybody's overarching story or character development has really advanced a whole lot in these first several episodes.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it just all the way through episode 4 so far, I feel like it's all just been set up, getting us to where we need to be for the siege of Eregion. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I mean, other than that, I don't really have anything else to comment on for this episode.
Yeah, I don't either. I think we are going to share a high point, possibly a low point, but I'm going to ask you. High point.
A high point is hard for me. Just because, again, we don't have a whole lot that really happens here in terms of storytelling, or I shouldn't say storytelling, character development or advancement of plot. So, and usually I try to have those as a high point for our Lord of the Rings breakdowns. For Star Wars, it's always clones. But My high point for this episode, I think, would I feel like it has to be the Barrow-wights and that whole sequence.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's my answer.
It's such a cool sequence, cool design. I would actually argue that's probably one of the things that holds true to lore, with just like how terrifying they are and how terrifying and dangerous they can be. So that'd be my high point. Low point, truthfully, is just all of it with Nori, Poppy, and the Stewards. I'm just not a fan of...
I would say Merrimack for me. I just...
Yeah, they're just annoying. I'm not a fan of those
annoying characters. Don't... Yeah.
Yeah. Like, because when the show first came out with season 1, I thought it was really interesting having these wandering hobbit-like, people, and I thought there could be a really interesting storyline and everything. And I don't know what I was expecting, but every time I see them on screen, it just doesn't hold up to me, I guess, for some unknown reason to me. I couldn't exactly say why. The Harfoots and the Stewards as a whole, just I don't like them. But yeah, so I mean that'd be my low point for this episode.
I see. Well, we are going to head over to another recording where we talk about Star Wars.
Where we talk about the cool stuff, not this lame, boring crap.
Yeah, because we're definitely going to cover a super interesting and essential story arc to the Clone Wars. Anyway, now, maybe see you there next week.
I will say, before we close this episode...
Yes.
The last... So I don't think it's next episode. But the last 3 episodes for me, and just for something for you to look forward to watching the show, Jacob, as well as any of our listeners that for some reason haven't watched it before coming to listen to our breakdowns. The last 3 episodes for the show made the season for me.
Okay.
I will say that the last 3 episodes I thoroughly enjoy them. I think they're across both seasons. I would say the last 3 episodes are like the peak of the show for me so far. So something to look forward to. We will of course discuss those as we get to those respective episodes. Hopefully you guys will join us for those in the future as well. But
I'm excited.
I think with that, we'll go ahead and conclude this episode here.
All right. Sounds good. Maybe see you next week. Otherwise, see you in 2 weeks as we cover Clone Wars next week. Next episode of Rings of Power
5.
2 weeks from now.
Yep,
episode 5. So, all right. Goodbye.
Toodles and poodles.
Deuces!